Senza forchetta, senza forchetta, senza forchetta.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Senza Forchetta, and we are in the second season. Today, I'm speaking with Bruno, a comedian, but also someone who started out in a very different place in the world of business and elite education. And we're here today to talk about how he listened to himself, challenged expectations, and found his path in comedy.
Hi everyone, I'm Bruno. I am a stand-up comedian from Peru. I'm Gio's friend from our masters together in true elite education.
That's true.
It's a very fancy way of putting it, but also kind of true. So yeah.
Yeah, but actually, what we're going to do today, we're not going to focus on the elite education part, but actually more your path towards, becoming a comedian. But before getting into that, I think it would be super interesting to get more insight into also why you were studying business. What drew you to it at the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people around me were businessmen. My family emigrated from Italy to Peru. My great grandparents in the 1910s went to Peru and they started a bakery.
Amazing.
And then really built it from the ground up and created a lot of a very successful business from coming as poor immigrants to Peru. And then my grandfather created a car dealership and workshop, which my dad continued very well. And so that was always around. My uncle from my other side of the family was also a businessman. He created quite a few different businesses. So I always saw that as a viable path, right? It's something very interesting that I was always surrounded by. And also I saw the power in business. I always wanted to create a better world, and I could see how, I remember the statistics that I read in high school, that 80% of the money in the world never touches government. It's business.
It's business people creating business.
Yeah, and the government can't tax it or whatever the hell. Just they don't touch it. So in my head, I was like, if I want a better world, I need better businesses.
How would you describe the environment that you grew up in? You described it as being very business driven, but what other characteristic did it have?
Not a lot of art, for example. There was not, that's why comedy I think was unexpected to a lot of people in my family. There are no artists in my family, or not at least professionally, no artists. I also think it was a very conservative environment in the sense that, again, these were business people that were looking for logical careers and kind of playing it safe. I remember my sister wanted to be a cartoon artist, a designer, and my dad was like, no.
No way.
No, and she became a doctor.
Okay.
And so I think that was also part of my upbringing, and that also brought me to business, which was like, okay, I have to have a safe job and a safe career, and there's nothing safer than business,
Right.
It was very much about not doing anything crazy, especially in Peru. It's not like Europe. In Europe, you can be a bartender and you're fine. You're not going to starve. In Peru, there's always a chance that you starve.
You can't really just do whatever and you'll figure it out. You also have to be mindful of the situation around you and choose a path that fits.
Yeah. When they say starving artist in Peru, that's true.
They mean literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I see.
So for me, that was definitely present. I was like, I'm not like a super superficial person in the sense that I didn't want to be rich or anything, but I definitely never considered comedy because I was like, I want to live a good life.
So that's interesting. So during that time of your life, comedy did not exist at all, not even as a whisper.
I was a consumer. I loved it, and it gave me a lot of joy from watching it in very different forms, like sketch comedy, like comedy movies, like stand-up comedy, which is the form that I do now. But I never really thought. I never had the confidence or the self-esteem to try it. You know, I think that's a very important part of pursuing a career in the arts is to have the confidence and the feeling of safety of like, hey, I can take a risk with this. You know, I can try to make this happen and see if it
If it works.
see if it works or not. You know,
Well, in a way, I would say that also business has a lot of risks, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
maybe in a way that also helped you to develop into this career. No?
I think the way I treated business when I was younger, it was always about the safe, reliable job. So I didn't go too much into the risky part of business, but I agree. Like, I think being an artist is very similar to being an entrepreneur. It's more passion driven and more interest driven, but it's very similar in that, like, you're your own boss, you take all the risk and you get all the reward as well.
Exactly.
Like, for every famous comedian you see and you're like, oh man, this is crazy. There's like 5,000 that never,
Probably even more.
that
know.
never made even a little bit of money from it.
And so now I'm interested in when this idea of comedy started really sedimenting, but maybe before that, like when did you first start to feel a disconnect between your studies and your true interest?
I think it was when I started working at a bank. My first internship was in a bank in Peru, and the people were really nice, and I made a lot of friends and everything. But I remember thinking to myself, like, what is this? Like, this has nothing to do with what I care about. I'm not helping the world. I'm not creating anything. And that was the first touch of disconnect, but I didn't really
Listen to it a lot?
yeah, I was just like, it's the wrong job. I was like, business is not the problem is the bank, you know? And then I went into consulting, which was more interesting because it's like more creative. It's like you're going at different companies, different months and things like that, and learning a lot. And it was kind of challenging, but still I was like, this is not a... And then I started realizing it more because I worked in consulting for like 2.5 years or something. And the whole time I was like, I'm just not enjoying this. And the disconnect just grew larger and larger and larger because, yeah, I just didn't feel like I was really contributing anything from myself. You know, I was making big companies money, right? But I was not, I didn't feel like I was creating something that satisfied me or really the world in my opinion. It felt like I was making rich people richer, which was...
Did this happen? Was this a process for which you realized that, or was there a defining moment where you were like, you had these revelations to yourself?
I think it was a slow process. There were like quite a few moments where, especially it would happen to me when I would like get praised from my boss or things like that for things that I did not feel happy about. You know, they would be like, oh, Bruno, you did great at this or you did great at that. And in my head, I was like, I hated this. It's crazy that you think this is good when I did not enjoy it at all. So it made me realize that I was doing the thing correctly. I was doing the consulting correctly. I just wasn't enjoying it. So the more I stacked up these achievements, it made me realize the problem is not that it's not me, it's the thing that I'm doing that doesn't fit with me, you know? Because I had it in the bank too, but I had like a couple of moments where people were like supporting me and basically telling me, if you keep doing this, you're gonna be successful as a banker or as a consultant.
Gonna become the partner of this company.
Yeah, I mean, they never give you such a big praise so quickly, but kind of. And so that made me realize I can do this. I just don't like it, you know.
And when you had those feelings, when you started to have these feelings of this is not from me, Was there ever guilt or fear in
Yeah.
thinking that there could be something different?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of guilt, first of all, because I felt weird to to be like, I don't like this and I'm still doing well. So it felt kind of like I was lying to people, like I was tricking people and I was creating this fake persona that I didn't really enjoy, you know? And there was a lot of like procrastinating on work. There was a lot of like doing things at the last minute and things like that. So there was a lot of guilt. Luckily, there was not so much fear because I think my path to comedy was very slow. Like I went from banking to consulting, then to more like startups, which are a little bit more creative and a little bit more free, and then eventually into stand-up. And so I think I always tried to find the next safest option until I realized, okay, there needs to be a big change, you know?
That's actually a very interesting way to do it, like meaning that you can take calculated risks. You don't need to change completely out of the blue, but you can still take the time to get from one place to the next without, completely changing your life.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I worked, for example, in the startups, so after consulting, I moved to Switzerland to do the masters, and then I came to Berlin to work at a startup. And when you work at a startup in Germany especially, it's way less crazy to be an artist, you know? A lot of people were like DJs on the side or they had done it before. So it's not like if I was a stand-up comedian in a bank, maybe HR would talk to me and be like, what are you doing, you know? But because I was already I had slowly moved to an environment where I could be myself more, it made it way easier for me to kind of, accept the idea and realize that I wanted to do something like this.
I think this is actually a great point that you just brought up, the idea of the environment that we surround ourselves with, because sometimes we just think it's our fault that we cannot change, but also we need to consider that we are influenced by the place, by the people, by the culture that surrounds us. So the fact that you also chose a place that was more similar to what you were trying to look for, that was probably a good move on your side to be able to realize more about yourself. And how did you develop this ability to really listen to yourself? Like, because you have that voice inside of you, but when does it become so clear that you're like, now I know it's you come from a point of awareness, of consciousness, and not from many voices that speak into your head?
That's a good question. I think it's always developed slowly. Like I couldn't point at, like if I had to point at one moment, it was the pandemic, where like there was no distractions. I think distractions are often the thing that remove you from listening to yourself. And in the pandemic, it was, especially in the first lockdown in Peru, it was me living with my family, and just we were still doing remote work. So it was not like I can hang out with my friends and get drunk or no, it was just me and my family and my work. And so, I kind of was locked with my own thoughts. And at some point, watching movies and all this stuff, it just kind of becomes boring. And so the silence and the silence helped a lot, but also discipline, weirdly enough. I was like, I need to do something different. So I started, in that period, I started waking up because I would start work at 9 a.m. But I was at home. So I started waking up at 6 every day and I would read a book for 1 hour. I would work out for 1 hour and then I would take a shower and start work kind of chill. And in a weird way that those mornings, those 2 hours a morning, I think I did it only for 3 or 4 months before I had to move to Switzerland. But in those mornings, reading a book and kind of just taking some power back, just saying this is my morning, I do whatever the hell I want with my morning. That already created the space for me to listen to my own mind. And then I was reading a book which basically went like, if you're not doing what you love, you're kind of wasting your fucking life.
Yeah.
The book was very direct with it.
Okay, so it was a specific book that you read that.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, it's called The War of Art.
The War of Art.
It's a very good book by Stephen Pressfield, I think. Basically it just says like, you have to do something you're passionate about and live a life that fulfills you. And it really connected with me in that moment because it was also perfect timing, right? I was about to move to Switzerland. I already knew I was going to move. And I was like, okay, it's great that I'm moving to Europe. I'm excited to move to Europe. That kind of was like my dream for a long time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this elite masters. Then I'm going to be able to get whatever job I want. But then I was thinking, this job is just gonna be the same shit in a fancier place. And being a consultant in Peru versus being a consultant in Switzerland, you're still a consultant.
Probably making a lot more money, but
Maybe 20 times more money.
but I just want to, because we were moving, but I want to focus on one thing you said about the pandemic and how it ultimately helped you to reevaluate your life. And it's basically the need for reflection.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were not just in this loop of constantly running, but you, because of the pandemic and the lockdown, you had to stop. And that basically forced you to think.
Yeah.
But maybe we can do it even without having a pandemic, hopefully. But we can learn to take the time to think about stuff we do. And that maybe helps the process of healing, I call it this way, but it's the process of listening to yourself much more.
No, I 100% agree. I'm trying to do that now every day. Like I'm trying to slow down my life and really like reflect every day because it's so important, like you said. And the pandemic was a good excuse because otherwise, like my life was going to be, and I think this is life for a lot of people, especially friends of mine in business school, but a lot of people, it's like you make a consistently good salary, you get drunk with your friends every weekend, you go to nice restaurants, and then you do it again. And you kind of don't like your job, but not enough to quit.
Yeah.
And you make enough money where you can afford all these distractions, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And
Basically
before you...
blind yourself to your own truth.
Exactly. And you know it's wrong, but it's not wrong enough.
Yeah.
But then when you actually take away the distractions for a little bit and you really sit, you realize, oh no, this is deeply wrong and I need to be more authentic and be happier and I deserve more than this. And it's still scary, like you said, there's a lot of fear, a lot of guilt also. Sometimes you think it's wrong of me to want more. You know, you're like, who do I think I am that I don't like, you know, I'm not happy with this. This should be enough.
A lot of people that want to go in these elite schools, for example, get the job. There's like people that go in line to get even an interview.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want this. So I totally get the point of feeling guilty. And do you think that reflection slows you down?
No. I guess it depends on how you're looking at it, but I think it slows the mistakes down. You know, like if you're running down the wrong path, sure, you're going fast, but are you going in the right direction? You know, like there's this expression, I don't remember, or this phrase, I don't remember where I read it or listened to it, but they said the thing about the rat race is even if you win, you're still a rat.
Yeah, so it's like basically changing the whole framework. Don't be the rat anymore. Be something else.
Reflect and pick a path that you actually love, and then it doesn't matter how far you go, you'll be happy because you did it. Like me with comedy, like if I become super famous and super successful and make a lot of money, then great. If I don't, I'm still like I love today. Like today actually I don't have any shows. But tomorrow I have a show, you know, so I know it's going to be a great day. I know I'm going to have fun and I'm going to make some people laugh and I'm going to make myself laugh. and then yeah, if that becomes a big thing, beautiful. If it doesn't, I'm still, like I'm present in the moment, doing something I love. As simple as that. I'm not having to pretend I like being a consultant.
You're right. Actually, on this thing, I think is one of the thing I really admire about you, and it's one thing that drew me to you. This willingness to challenge your status quo and really look at yourself and be like, maybe this is not for me. And I think it takes gut, because from somebody who understands and comes from a similar background, it takes gut to say, hey, look, hey, this is not who I am, and overcoming the guilt. So I just wanted to say that I really like that about you.
Thank you, Jeff.
But on another note, how did it feel to first introduce yourself as a comedian? How was that the first time you did it?
Oh, that was crazy. It was actually something I had to work through and reflect on as well.
There you go.
Say, like, it was a big step for me to say I'm a comedian. Like, it was something that for some time, I didn't think I deserved to call myself a comedian. I was like, oh no, I'm not. I can't call myself a comedian. I've only been doing it for 6 months. And for those 6 months, I was doing it every day.
Wow.
but I was like technically
A little bit of imposter syndrome, you would say?
yeah, imposter syndrome, and also imposter syndrome for sure. Like I felt like I needed to earn it, but also some fear in terms of the commitment, because the moment that I said I'm a comedian, now it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Now it's not like a little side quest. So I think it helped me again to draw myself to the present. That's always the kind of the easiest fix for everything. I remember I was in a green room, that's the backstage, what we call it, talking to some comedians, and I was telling some guys, like older comedians, more experienced than me, I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't call myself a comedian yet, and like I'm not ready, like people, like I'm so new to this, and they're like, bro, you're doing comedy, you're a comedian, that's
Right.
it. Like, yeah, maybe you're not a professional, but you're already doing it. And it made me realize it is so simple. Once you get over all the fears and all the guilt and all the moment you reflect, and the moment you really have these 2 seconds of clarity is all it takes. If you do comedy, you're a comedian.
You're a comedian.
That's it.
Were these, like, what were the first signs that you really felt like, okay, this is the right choice for me?
Oh, from the first moment I did it. I mean, I had signs before. I did it. Like, I had hangouts with friends where I would be talking shit and they would be laughing, and then I would get quiet and they were like waiting for me to keep talking shit. Like, nobody wanted to interrupt me. And so
Well, social, recognition, that also is
Yeah.
something that as a comedian you need, because if you just make jokes that nobody laughs.
yeah, exactly. But it felt crazy to me that, like, this happened, or maybe I only noticed when I was already thinking of being a comedian, but I was like, okay, I am entertaining to at least some people, and this is a context where it's like a social context where we're in a group and they want to speak too, but they're having such a good time that they let me keep talking, and they're like, please keep talking, basically. So that was one moment.
And you love to talk. So,
I love to talk.
like me. We have the same.
Now I'm slowing it down, but yeah, it really felt at that moment like, okay, I can do this. I had other moments where I met comedians. I met a comedian before my first show. I was watching so many shows that my friends didn't want to come to watch shows with me anymore, so I went to a show alone, and I met this comedian that was also there to watch. And we were talking and stuff, and he was like, at some point I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of doing stand-up, and he was like, you're thinking? No, you're a comedian, bro. I thought you were a comedian. You totally a comedian. And I was so surprised, because I was like, this guy was like very, not super experienced, but pretty experienced, and he really was convinced that he just assumed it. So I was like...
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel validated as well. It made me feel like, okay, I have a little bit of the recognition of someone. And now that I have been on the other side too, I can tell he was also trying to be supportive and everything. But in the moment I felt like supported, and I felt like, okay, this is, fuck it, I need to do this. I need to try it at least. And then I did it, and it was amazing. And I was like, I never want to stop. So
I think you just brought up another super important aspect of all of this is the support of the people around you, the people that love you, or even just a stranger that can give you that boost of recognition that can help you make that jump.
yeah,
So being in an environment that helps you develop into the person that you want to be is definitely another important ingredient of the recipe of change. Let's call it this way.
yeah. I think you have to put yourself out there though. That's big.
Absolutely. You have to start somewhere, right?
If I didn't go to those shows alone, I never met this guy.
And there's always the you in all of this, because at the end, you did this, nobody forced you, and like you had the courage to, okay, still not listen too much to the environment, listen to the people that gave you the support, but ultimately you are the one who went to the shows alone and challenged yourself and challenged the path that was so clear before with the business school.
Yeah.
And now, yeah.
I think it's if you look for the signs, you find them, you know, but you have to look for the signs.
Before going into more of a closing, I want to still ask you, what fears still show up?
I think the fear that I'm not good enough still comes up. I think that's something I'm still working on always. And the thing is, the more you do it, the more you can start looking ahead and thinking of the bigger projects and whatever. You know, you performed in front of 100 people. Yeah, but can you do 200 people? You've performed in front of 200 people. Yeah, but can you do 500? You know. So there's always going to be this next level, and there will always also be a little bit of insecurity in terms of if you deserve it or not, if you've done the work, or if you even have this inherent quality to you. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we like to think that we can't change. We like to think, okay, can I do it? Do I deserve it? And it's like, maybe not right now, but who cares? You know, like that's the real answer. Is when I was thinking, can I be a comedian? I probably couldn't. But then I took all the steps, and then the answer changed, you know? So I think I deal constantly, and I'm trying to kind of learn to deal with that fear in a better way, but I still have the fear of not being enough. You know, I think that's the biggest one. In terms of, I think I've lost a lot of the fear of what people will say. That's something I don't really care too much about anymore. I still had it for a while, but nowadays I kind of I realize how happy I am, and I'm like, even if people hate me or people are, I don't know, judge me for my choices, I'm happy enough where like.
Would you say you're happy or you're in peace with it?
I'm at peace with other people's opinions, and I'm happy with my life. I think peace and happiness are very, very similar words.
Yeah, maybe sometimes we confuse happiness with excitement.
Yeah.
So that's why I associated with peace, because if you're at peace with something, even with your insecurities, you're much more open to show them, because you know that you're doing the work. And even if somebody's telling you something, you're like, yeah, I know. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't shy away from that. And so that's probably a good way to look at those insecurities and be like, yeah, they exist. They're here. We're all humans. We have our strong suit, but we have also our insecurities. But the moment you look at them, maybe they don't become so big as you think in your head.
Yeah, it's like the little kid that thinks there's like a monster in the closet, and then you open it up and it's like your sock or something. It's the same. I think once you look at it, it becomes way less than it actually should be, or you think it is. And I also think whenever you enjoy what you're doing and you stop looking so much into the future, that also makes it easier. Because if someone listening right now is thinking of becoming a comedian,
yes,
and they think they should be famous, then it's gonna be fucking scary. Because to be famous, you probably are going to need to do thousands of shows and
Yeah, you
promote.
set the expectation too high for yourself also.
And there's
maybe.
there's 1,000 steps. There's
Yeah.
so 10,000, 100,000 steps. Oh my God, what will my family say the first time I do this? What will the paparazzi are gonna know about my private life? Blah, blah. Bro,
Let's worry when we get there, you know?
yeah,
kinda.
and just focus on the first thing that you want to do. You want to do comedy. So do one show, and if you like it, do the next show. And if you like it, so now I'm really, instead of trying to, I don't know, a lot of kind of people will tell you to work on your confidence and work on your on affirmations and things like that. And I think that has a place. But personally, I'm trying to focus on just doing what I enjoy right now. Like my focus is tomorrow I have a show, I want to have fun. In 3 weeks, I'm doing my first solo, I'm doing my first hour.
Nice.
And
You want to share some details so we can put it in the comments or in the description?
It'll be my Instagram, so
I will attach your Instagram.
so
So
my Instagram, or it's at the 19th of September in Saligari in Friedrichshain in Berlin. But yeah, basically, like that is already like as far as I'm thinking. I want to have a great show in 3 weeks, and if it goes well, then I want to do it again. If it doesn't go too well because I don't know, I didn't enjoy it or whatever, then I'm gonna think about how I can do it in a different way. That when I don't know, when you are planning like to go to a party or a club and you don't like the club, you're not like, fuck, but now I have to go to the club every week. No, it's like, okay, let's find something else that's nice, you know?
I just want to give some context here. You also do have another job that can
for
sustain
sure.
your expenses as it is now. And I think that's also a solid approach where
Yeah,
people
small
are like, I
steps.
don't want to change completely. And I think you're doing it in a good way. And I just want to give the listener a little bit of context because they're like, well, he's saying this, maybe he comes from rich parents that gave him all the money. No, you're still managing all of your expenses. And you're basically working at a second job to also pursue your passion and ultimately what you want or would like to become your full-time career.
Yeah, and I'm having so much fun. Like I tell this all the time to friends. They're like, oh, Bruno, let's have dinner on Thursday. I'm like, I have a show, I'm sorry. And it's not like, oh, I have a show. It's like, fuck yeah, I have a show. I'm sorry, but the show is gonna be more fun than any dinner, you know?
You could also enjoy some dinners.
I enjoy some dinners.
I will invite you to some dinners and we'll go.
But yeah, again, it's about what you want to do. And if the show tonight is more fun than the dinner tonight, then do the fucking show. And if you really are passionate about dinners, then do the fucking dinner. And don't think about 10 years down the road, because who the hell knows? Life is going to change so much, and
the environment is going to change so much. So we live in the present.
Exactly, we live in the present. We
Bruno,
enjoy the present.
Thank you so much. I think I would just like to ask you if you have any last word to say. If somebody that kind of feels in the same place that you were a couple of years ago, what advice would you give them?
I guess it depends on the place, but just like, you deserve to be happy, you know? Like, just really, whenever you have this doubt and you're like, no, but maybe I'm just being too picky, maybe I'm just, no, just you deserve to be your true self. You deserve to be as happy as you can be, and try. Like, one little step at a time. Every small decision will accumulate. Telling your friends no to this club where you really don't want to go and they're pressuring you, just say no.
Prioritize based on what is important to you.
Prioritize yourself little by little, and you don't have to take a huge step. If you little by little you just choose yourself every day a little more, then you're gonna become more and more happy, and before you know it, it's going to be a big change. Like, when I started, waking up every morning early and reading and working out, I didn't think it was gonna make me a stand-up comedian. And
imagine that.
And then so
crazy.
So I think, just prioritize yourself, be happy, and take it one step at a time. No big jumps here. No big jumps here. I don't like that. I prefer this philosophy of just enjoying every day a little more.
Bruno, thank you very much. Thank you for being open also with everybody about your experience. I think some people can take a lot of inspiration. I know I have. So I hope also others can take inspiration from this aspect of your life and you as a person in general.
Thank you for your curiosity.
Yeah, well, I'm a curious. I love, that's my thing. I love to ask questions. And I would say this is it for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening and have a great day. Bye bye.
I love your radio voice. Have a great day.
Bye bye.
Senza forchetta. Senza